eggs. It's not so much that you sort of think, oh, I must put in an Easter egg for fans of this other book, or, you know, wouldn't it be nice if I did this? It just springs fully formed, and then you do it, and then it's a question of later on when you're editing whether you leave it in or not. And to say that, and with Takabachi, it's just, these are things that I just thought, no, I leave that in, that's strong, I like it, you'll leave it there.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Oh, I had a question about some of your books has been optioned by Hollywood. Have you heard any word if they're actually going to make any movies? Like Carbon, for example.
You've got to keep your fingers crossed for me. Altered Carbon fell out of option. Warner Brothers. Thank you. Warner Brothers stopped the option. Let me think. End of 2009, I think, and it floated for a little while, and now it's under option again. But this option is with a Hollywood screenwriter, quite a big name, who I'm not allowed to mention at the moment. But a very big name Hollywood screenwriter who has got their own production company, and they, along with that production company, they have optioned it. So it's not a big bucks option, but it's an option for 18 months renewable. And I spoke to the screenwriter in question, and they are very enthusiastic about the project. They really want to push it out, and they have a lot of form. They've had a number of very successful movies over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. They are well connected. They have they know some very big names. So I'm hopeful that we might go somewhere with it, and I'm also hopeful that it will be a slightly grittier take than I think it would have been with the original option. Because I think the original option was always going to end up as a sort of 15 certificate, sci-fi action CGI extravaganza. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I kind of like seeing something a little closer to the original vision. And I think with this screenwriter, they are a very big fan of that vision, of the grittiness and the darkness that's in it. And they're pushing for that. So whether they'll be successful is another matter. But I have to say, this is a screenwriter who has brought off a couple of very unlikely projects that have done very, very well. So I have my hopes for that.
So let's hold our fingers crossed then.
Yes, thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Just a short question. Is Subterranean going to do your new book too?
Yeah, Subterranean are bringing out the Cold Commands. I imagine it'll be coming out pretty close on the heels of the main publication, because the deal was done before the book was written, which was very nice, very kind of them. But yeah, no, there definitely will be a Subterranean press edition.
You're pleased with the Subterranean books?
Yeah. I mean, the Still Remains one was just lovely. Really, really beautiful, and just quality as well. I think, increasingly with Kindle and so forth, when you get a physical book, you're looking to the tactile and the visual qualities of the book, the thing that make it worth owning. And these were just beautiful. They really were things of beauty. So yeah, no, I'm very happy with them.
Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Anybody else? No?
Then I have one last question. What kind of books do you prefer to read?
Good ones. I will read absolutely anything. I really have no sort of genre leanings one way or the other. I grew up reading science fiction, so I have this sort of instinctive, when I go into a bookshop, I'll always go and look in that section of the bookshop. But I will read anything, as long as it's well written. And I'm trying to think, at the moment I'm rereading a book by a guy called Boston Tehran. It's a crime novel called God is a Bullet. And I read this about 10 years ago, and then I kind of forgot about him. And the other day, interestingly enough, I was on the Song of Ice and Fire website, and somebody on the message board, someone was asking about crime novels. I listed it, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to see what else he's written in the last 10 years. So I've just ordered up his backlist. There are about 3 or 4 novels, and I'm rereading God is a Bullet first, and then I'll go into those. But I mean, also, mainstream fiction, I'm a big fan of guys like Thomas Pynchon, Cormac McCarthy, trying to think what else, those are very sort of, McCarthy's very heavyweight American male, of course, Pynchon less so. One of the finest books I've read in the last 5 years, I would say, is Andrea Levy's Small Island, which again, totally different from any of those things. I really don't differentiate. I will just go into the bookshop, pick up a book, and look at the blurb, and flip through and decide on that basis. And in a sense, that's one of the things I feel about genre that's a bit of a shame, is the way that increasingly with genre books, you pick it up, flip it over, and read the blurb. And it's a blurb that you're going, well, this could be the last 5 books in this genre that I've looked at, especially crime. Crime is starting to feel really stale for me. You see a new crime author and you go, oh, good, and you turn it over and it says, Detective Inspector Michael so-and-so is having a bad day. His wife has just moved out, he can't find his dog, and there's a serial killer on the streets of Bradford. Oh, Christ, not that again. And it's kind of, well, you guys in Sweden have got it bad, haven't you? Because it's this very quiet, law-abiding country, and if you read your crime writers, you'd think there was a serial killer living on every corner. But yeah, we seem in the crime fiction genre to have gone serial killer crazy, and every bloody book is about a serial killer who's killing women in some particularly unpleasant way that no one else has thought of yet. And I just find that so, I read Val McDermott's The Mermaid Singing, and for me that's the definitive serial killer novel, or maybe Red Dragon before that. But after that, I've still yet to read any serial killer novel that kind of beats McDermott's Mermaid Singing. And I just get to the stage where I'm not interested in that anymore. You've got to show me something else. You've got to show me something fresh. But unfortunately, as I say, in genre especially, we seem less and less interested in fresh, and more interested in, the Big Mac thing. Let's do the same as we did last time. It's a bit of a shame that, but it's one of the things that has driven me more in the direction of mainstream fiction, because I think I get a better chance of finding stuff that's unusual. And I think it's something I see missing from the core of genre, and that includes science fiction as well. And it's a bit of a shame, because obviously there is a lot of good work being done in crime and in science fiction, but increasing the stuff that is unusual and has a fresh angle or whatever gets pushed to the periphery and doesn't get the coverage. And I think that's a great shame. We end up reading yet another bloody vampire novel, or it's the way of things. There's nothing you can do about it. But I'm sorry, I totally forgot what your question was.
What kind of books do you prefer to read?
Yeah. No, anything. Really, just anything that seems that will engage me emotionally and intellectually. Something that will really make me feel. That will, just keep me turning the pages. And I don't really don't mind what it's about. If I keep turning the pages, that's enough for me. So does that answer the question?
Thank you so much for taking your time.
No, that's fine. Is it sure there are no other questions?
Are there no other questions?
Come on, don't be shy.
What was the latest book you read, and what did you think about it?
The latest book I'm reading God is a Bullet, but as I said, that's a reread, so I can't fairly count that. Let me think. I'm reading Kurtz's Waiting for the Barbarians. Mm-hmm. I'm not that impressed, actually, I have to say. I was introduced to Kurtz through Disgrace, which is a stunning novel. I was absolutely blown away by Disgrace. And since then I've tried a few of his others, and I must admit nothing I've read of his has grabbed me in the same way. And Waiting for the Barbarians is a bit the same. In a way, oddly enough, it's almost a kind of fantasy novel, because it takes place in a sort of unnamed province of an unnamed empire. So, and the contexts are totally generalised. It's not something you would specifically recognise as being historically accurate. But it just, I must admit I'm profoundly disappointed. I couldn't recommend it to you. I recommend Disgrace hands down, but I couldn't recommend that one. But that's the thing, when you're prepared to take chances with your reading, every now and then you're going to trip up and be disappointed. I'm trying to think of one that I could recommend. Mike Carey, I just finished reading the second of Mike Carey's Unwritten sequence. Again, going back to what I said about comic books, there's a completely original concept, something very off the beaten track as far as comics are concerned. And I mean, Carey is fantastic. I've been a big fan of his since Lucifer. And yeah, just fantastic stuff.